My shirt is a bit wrinkly. I've ironed it, but it's still a bit wrinkly. But that's okay. Aren't we all? There'll be coffee in the next one. So yes, all things good, we do start with a sip of coffee, but some things good, we can also start without a sip of coffee. Let's not have any unnecessary attachments to worldly things. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paroma Sharma, and this is my little rectangle where I share a little bit of my life with you. And this is episode 3 of my new series called the PomPod, which is a podcast that really just assesses life through a woman's lens, through my lens. Now, if you want to know what this podcast is about, watch episode 1. If you want to know what my backstory is and what I'm healing from, then watch episode 2. And both of those will be linked down below in the description. What happened in the last episode was I had this insane release of trauma. Here's the strange part though. It's not that I haven't talked about this stuff before. That last episode that I filmed, I sat down and I spilled it all out. All well thought out, like a story in chronological order, in detail, like I was an author narrating my life, which I was. The edited cut version of what you saw on YouTube was a version that left out a lot of horrific details. I think sitting down and chronologically in good detail describing a lot of the horrific things that I've experienced and been through was a whole different way of releasing it from my body compared to how I had previously done so with my therapist and, my loved ones who I share things with. I filmed that video and I knew when I filmed it that I was saying too much, and I knew that I could edit it out later, and I went ahead and I allowed myself to do that because it was feeling good as I was doing it. Now see, this takes practice, but I'm really in tune with my body and my mind, and I can sit there and as I'm actively doing it, I'm going through the process of how I'll mitigate later on this becoming like a huge issue where I spilled all my family's dirty laundry on the internet. I was able to go through that thought process really quickly, and I was able to allow myself, because I identified how good I was feeling as I spoke those words and shed a couple of tears. And so I just went with it. Now, obviously, the internet does not get to see all of that horror. I actually have not necessarily rewatched that horror. I just edited through it quickly, made it YouTube and internet ready, and that's it. So I think just the act of sitting down and putting all that into words was incredibly healing, incredibly freeing. I am a whole new person. I somehow felt the strength encompassing me, the love and encouragement and motivation and kindness and understanding from every single person that was leaving me a line or DMing me or telling me I'm brave for doing it. I think that also energized me in a completely different way. All in all, it was a great healing experience. Now, let's talk about what we want to talk about today, which is women's well-being, both physical and mental, and how that is tied to the household as well as the family members in the household, okay? Because I have had an extra bounce in my step after having recorded that last podcast. I am a new, lighter and brighter version of myself. Someone that I was a long time ago, but also so much better because with maturity and with healing. And it's a phenomenal place to be. Oof, thank God I made it here. With this extra bounce and lightness and brightness in me, my home feels extra light and bright. My family seems extra light and bright. And I thought about it. There are so many things that we just know and like at our core feel, but we never sit down and actually think about it because we don't have the time to. We don't have the luxury of it. We're busy. We're busy making ends meet. We're busy getting food on the table. We're busy managing the kids and all the tasks. So I think there is incredible value in actually paying attention, stopping to pay attention to those things that we feel are so deeply real. One of those things is that I truly believe a woman's energy is somehow tied to her household's energy, and vice versa. It's like my well-being somehow affects the well-being of the home. Now let's backtrack for a second. It has nothing to do with being a stay-at-home mom, a housewife, a working woman. I would say even daughters, just the feminine energy in a household influences the energy of the household. It goes across cultures. The internal home, the household, is a woman's realm. Now, notice how I'm not saying responsibility, because let me tell you, my husband is so spot on with chores. He does more chores than I do. So the taking care of the home, it's not necessarily tied to womanhood. I think that's yesteryears. Even though he helps out in the household chores and tasks, the energy of the home is tied to me. The home is my realm. Now, why is that though? Right? And again, these are some of those things that we just know, but we don't pay attention to. Even if responsibilities are shared, even if financial breadwinning responsibilities are shared and household tasks are shared, our essence and the essence of the home are interconnected, is what I'm trying to say. I imagine that back in the days, now I don't know, I'm hypothesizing, but I imagine that back in the days, the cave was still a woman's realm. The mud huts were still women's realms. The tree houses were women's realms. I just think this is something that goes beyond us. It has been how it has been for ages and as long as we can imagine. And for some reason, it hasn't 100% changed yet because it's still working. Right? Having a woman's energy and well-being tied to the well-being of the home is something that's so ingrained in us, and it's a pattern that repeats itself time and time over ages, generations, across cultures. I think because it's still working for the most part. I think it's something so deep-rooted in our biology and our habits that there's really no reason to get rid of it. And so it's okay. Again, has nothing to do with responsibilities and chores and breadwinning. Like my brother lives by himself. My younger brother, he's 6 years younger than me. He lives by himself and, he's got a very cozy place. He's very mindful of how he decorated it. It doesn't look like an ugly bachelor pad. It looks like a very cozy, very cool place. It's not that men alone and a man's energy can't create a nice, cozy environment. However, correct me if I'm wrong. When you get into a relationship and you start coexisting and creating a space together, somehow, year and year over, the home and the energy of the home becomes tied to the woman. In South Asian cultures, they say when daughters leave the home, it feels so much emptier. Because I don't think this is something that's just tied to the mother of the home or the wife of the home. I think it's just tied to femininity. You know how they say women make the house a home. These sayings, we say these things all the time. We hear these things all the time, and we never sit down to be like, what could that possibly mean? Our families rest in this home. and absorb the energies from the home. So our energies pour into the home, which pours into our families. This is where our families come to rest. This is where they're vulnerable. This is where they eat. This is where they thrive. They regenerate to go out and face the rest of the world. If my energy, if my well-being is low and the temperature of the home is connected to that and the temperature of this environment is set to that standard, then those people, our loved ones that are coming into the home and then trying to rest and recuperate in this environment are absorbing our negativity or our low vibrations. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. There's this saying that when there is a newborn or a young child, or just children in general, if you want children to thrive and be successful, be happy and be healthy, take care of the mother. Ensure all of those things are poured into her cup first. Because here's the thing, biologically, mothers are just hardwired to ensure that their offsprings will thrive. That's ingrained in us. What we need is to be taken care of. Ensure my happiness, safety, emotional well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being. Pour into my cup. I know this sounds selfish, but listen to me here. Pour into my cup, and I am biologically hardwired to pour that and some into the cups of my loved ones and into the household. Women's mental health and women's overall well-being is so incredibly important. It can make or break the potential of a whole home. I bring this up because culturally, in South Asian cultures, traditionally, the idea is very basic, and it got stuck at this basic level. A woman's job is to take care of the chores, make the food, take care of the tasks, the nitty-gritties of the household, and a man's job is to bring in the money. Yesteryears, not anymore. Chores and bringing in the money are both things that are shared widely 50-50. And in our cultures, in South Asian cultures, there's this idea of the woman being there to serve the men. I will serve your food. I will ensure that you are regenerating and recuperating and that you are well after you come home from work. I'm talking like basic level in our cultures, right? But I don't see in our traditional South Asian cultures a whole lot of importance put in the well-being of the women of the household. Sure, they're well-fed, well taken care of, well-clothed, and have all their necessities and maybe even emotional needs met. But hear me out here. Women require a little extra TLC, and that is just not something that's ingrained in the fabric of our cultures, our South Asian cultures. That act of daily service is for a woman to do for a man. And there is very little precedence for the opposite, how we pour back into a woman. And I am trying to sit here and highlight that actually that component should be prioritized. If you pour a woman's cup a little bit more and pay attention to it, it will overflow and she will have an abundance of capacity to give back into the home and to give back into you. It's like a good investment. You invest today and you get it 10-folds back. And I think if society and cultures and households just started understanding this a little bit more, we'd all be thriving. I'm just saying, but I'm always just saying. Don't believe me. I'm not a specialist or anything. I'm reading from a script a little bit here because I need to hit these points. We need to prioritize ourselves and we need to communicate to others that yes, we need a little more TLC. If we, the women, we, the feminines of the household and the families, if we are well, our homes are well. If our homes are well, our families are well. If all of that is thriving and well, then the trajectory of our lives can change entirely. So, what do we do about it? The first step is for you to understand you have to prioritize yourself. It's easier said than done. I'm still learning it. Heck, I have a hard time prioritizing moisturizing myself. Ask my husband, it pisses him off, okay? I know it's difficult, but we're such selfless beings, mothers and wives and the women of households. And if it helps to look at it from that angle, we'll do anything to ensure the well-being of our husbands and our children and our family members. Do it for them. Do it for them. I am telling you from first-hand experience that if I am well, everyone is thriving. The household is thriving. Touch wood. Thank you, universe, God. The second step is the men in our lives and the men in the households and the families are not mind readers. We have to be able to use the right words and find effective ways to articulate and communicate our needs in respectful ways, in collaborative ways. And we have to not be ashamed of that, of asking for that TLC, of asking for that extra understanding, that extra pouring into our cups. The abundance and positivity that exists in being so secure and taken care of. Take care of me, I'll take care of the rest of you. Basically, the gist of it. I took like 40 minutes, no, I'm lying. I took 30 minutes to say that. Oh my gosh, you wasted everyone's time. You could have just said that in the beginning and been like, bye, have a good day. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you found this beneficial, and I hope I do it in a way where it's easy for you to retain that information and process it. And I hope I give people some real examples of what I'm doing. I'm not giving any advice out here. I'm just trying to tell my story as it's happening. That was PomPod episode 3, and I will see you guys in the next one.